When a TV series is good, there are two things that can happen to it. The first is that it gets renewed. After all, if it's bringing in the viewers, it deserves to continue living until it wants to or needs to end its run. The second thing that can happen is a spin-off. Simply put, if the TV world is big enough and new stories can be told within it, another series will be made to do just that. Yellowstone is a great example of this, as its main show did so well that it got one spin-off in 1883 and another coming in 6666. But is there more coming? Allow us to show you how Kevin Costner reveals if more spin-offs are coming for Yellowstone. Number 4, no doubt. Kevin Costner has no doubt there will be more Yellowstone spin-offs thanks to the Paramount Network show's incredible success. The first spin-off, the prequel series 1883, starring Faith Hill and Tim McGraw, was a big hit for Paramount Plus, which has already announced other spin-offs. Yellowstone co-creator Taylor Sheridan has several other projects for Paramount Plus, including one starring Sylvester Stallone. I have no doubt there will be more spin-offs, Costner told Extra on the Oscars red carpet on Sunday. I didn't even know about the spin-offs that were coming. I just kind of do my thing, hit my marks, and go, wow, this thing is really going well. Yellowstone recently finished its record-breaking 4th season. Paramount renewed the show for a supersized Season 5, which will be split into 2 7-episode parts. Costner plays John Dutton, the patriarch of the Dutton family, who runs the largest contiguous ranch in the U.S. Luke Grimes, Kelly Riley, Wes Bentley, Cole Hauser, and Kelsey Asbill round out the main cast. You take my dysfunctional family, you put them right in the middle of the most beautiful mountains and rivers and valleys, and put them on horses, and some of that silliness will go away, and some that we just secretly love to hear. So it's been a good ride so far, Costner told Extra when asked about Season 5. We'll see where it goes. And trust us when we say that many people want to see where it goes. Number 3, 1883 and 1932. 1883 was the first Yellowstone spin-off. McGraw and Hill starred as James and Margaret Dutton, John's ancestors who traveled to Montana to establish what became the Yellowstone Ranch. Sam Elliott also starred as Shay Brennan, a Civil War veteran who leads the wagon train. Paramount Plus released the final episode on February 27th. Although Paramount Plus renewed the show, Sheridan later told Deadline he did not intend to write a second season. The goal with 1883, I wanted to tell this really abstract, odd-structured story, Sheridan told Deadline. If you were paying attention, I'd tell you exactly what was going to happen in the first scene of the first episode to Elsa and Shay. And they hopefully made you fall in love with the world and forget that stuff and play with your expectations that there's no way what I've already told you could actually happen. To play with structure that way felt like a new roller coaster ride for an audience, and hopefully a really reflective and beautiful one. So that series is up in the air, but even if it did just have one season, it did its job. What's more, there is another series that might follow this line via 1932, which is going to track the Dutton line as they battle through the harshness of the Great Depression. A very hard time for those in the ranch business. But if you want to know the spin-off that is definitely coming and could make an interesting impact, that would be number 2, 6666. It's still too early to tell exactly when 6666 will be released. When Paramount Plus announced that 3 of Sheridan's new shows, including 1883, would start streaming sometime in 2021, 6666 wasn't included in that list. That means it could be another year or two until we make our way to West Texas. And that would also line up with the fact that he was no doubt making 1883 before the 6666 green light was potentially given, and as such had to focus on one thing at a time. More than likely, we can expect a tease of it during this current year and maybe a release in 2023. The cast list still remains up in the air. Shortly after the show was announced, rumors started swirling about Jefferson White, who plays Jimmy, and Ryan Bingham, who plays Walker's potential involvement in 6666. Now, it seems like a part of this might be true. After Jimmy broke his promise to John, Kevin Costner, to never rodeo again, the ranch hand eventually returned to Yellowstone. But it wasn't like before. In order to keep a promise, John organized for Jimmy to head down to West Texas to the 4-6's ranch, aka 6666. Get it? But before he rode off with Travis, Taylor Sheridan, Walker came by and gave Jimmy a quick rundown of what to expect. Where you're heading are some of the best cowboys on earth. No egos, none of this bullshit. No fighting for your life or your land, he said. It's just cattle ranches to the horizon in every direction. It's like God just froze everything in this one place and just let it be. Walker continued, I can imagine it's gonna be a bit tough for you to come back here. If I were you, I wouldn't. Biggest regret of my life is leaving the place you're going to. Adios, amigo. I'd brush up on that Spanish. You might need it. Although there were initial speculations about Walker joining Jimmy in the Sixes, the former prisoner explained that he was on parole and couldn't leave Montana because he needed to check in every few weeks. And with some baggage, both physical and emotional, Jimmy was gone. In Yellowstone's Season 4 finale, he returned, and it was immediately evident that he wasn't the same man. Not only did he come back with a new set of skills, but he also had a fiancée, Emily, Catherine Kelly, in tow. Unsurprisingly, Mia, Eden Brolin, didn't take the sight of them together in the bunker house well. But once the fight broke up, Jimmy later found a moment to fill in Lloyd, 4EJ Smith. In Texas, I'm not fighting the neighbor to do my job because he's got the same job, and so does his neighbor. It's just cattle and cowboys all the way to the horizon, he said, echoing Walker's words. After the emotional reunion and with John's blessing, Jimmy and Emily got back on the road to go back to the Sixes. But what does this all mean? We're not sure, although it feels like Jimmy's next chapter will soon begin. And who knows, once Walker's parole is up, he could think about reuniting with Jimmy. So as you can see, there are a lot of things up in the air here, and given that unlike 1883, these two shows, Yellowstone and 6666, are connected in the same timeline, or at least that's what we're expecting, there could be a potential crossover once both series are up and running, and that is a huge deal. Here is the official synopsis for the show. Founded when Comanche still ruled West Texas, no ranch in America is more steeped in the history of the West than the 6666. Still operating as it did 2 centuries before and encompassing an entire county. The 6666 is where the rule of law and the laws of nature merge in a place where the most dangerous thing one does is the next thing. The 6666 is synonymous with a merciless endeavor to raise the finest horses and livestock in the world, and ultimately where world-class cowboys are born and made. Number 1. Is it too much? Well, that is an excellent question, because as we've seen with other series across recent TV history, if you expand too much and don't maintain the quality, the shows will suffer. Some can make it work, and Yellowstone definitely has the right person heading it up via Taylor Sheridan. But if there's even more coming outside of these 3 or 4 shows, we might be hitting a limit, because eventually people will get tired of this style of show no matter when it's set, and that's just human nature. However, that just means we need to enjoy it while we can and see where the journey takes us. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Yellowstone, 1883, 6666, and what else may be coming from this ever-growing franchise? Are you surprised that this show has grown into the series that it is now? What kind of stories would you personally want to tell from the Dutton line and beyond? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.